Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Serrano. Welcome back to another video comparison. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the bell icon and show your support by clicking the like button so you can get notified for all videos just like this. But today we're going to talk about the J7 from Samsung, which was released in 2018. Now, this phone from the Galaxy series was an older phone with a lot of really good features. It featured a 5.5-inch display, which was HD 720. It also featured uh, 2 gigabytes of RAM as well, paired along with it. Now, it did have a nice feature rich interface, but it did offer the older Samsung interface, but not as old as the Touch Wiz. It was actually the upgraded one after that. It did have a nice removable battery, a speaker system, which was placed on the top right next to the camera on the other side. And then you can actually get that 3000 milliamp hour removable battery, which was sick. A micro USB for actual, like charging it and everything like that. And the other thing was cool that it did get upgraded to from this 2017 version. It got 32 gigabytes of ROM compared to the 16 gigabyte model. So this phone was actually really cool because they upgraded it and they gave it some more, storage, which was really, really cool. So that's when I actually pulled the trigger on this device back in 2018. Now, according to, the, a lot of people's feedback on my videos, they did love this phone. It was one of the more popular budget devices around the time. Now, it didn't offer like a super AMOLED panel. The Cricket version had the IPS, I think it was the TFT display, which was really cool. And it was a nice 5.5-inch display with a top chin, and you did get that power button down below. I think it was like not a power button, but like a back button or a home button. And then the Samsung Galaxy A30, which was released actually in March 2019, was actually upgraded from Android 9.0 to Android 10, and then it was upgraded to the One UI to the One UI 2.0. So this phone actually has a 6.4-inch display, which is actually full HD, and it's a Super AMOLED panel as well. And I think it's really good because it's also offering 4 gigabytes of RAM and 3000 instead of the 3000 milliamp hour battery that you're getting in the J7 right here. The A30 is offering the 4000 milliamp hour battery. So I think it's pretty cool that they upgraded that and actually gave you a lot more storage with the 64 instead of the 32. But when it came to the panels, they both looked really good. I'm not sure how Samsung made this panel look this good as a IPS display, but it was actually really good for that TFT display, I think they call it. Now, the A30 was actually really bright, and it did feature a lot of nice colors, and you were getting some really good pixels per inch on it. It offered 403 pixels per inch. You can see that the notification panels are different in the sense that the brightness indication slider is going to be at the top on the J7 versus at the bottom on the One UI 2.0 on the A30. So I definitely thought that the Google option on the J7 2018 was actually really cool because I had to disable the Bixby home, which was really annoying. I didn't like that one at all. And I actually had to disable it because it wasn't useful to me at all. And it actually lagged the phone a lot more compared to the Google one. So I honestly hope that, Samsung removes that altogether or finds a way to optimize it. But when it came to playing, like gaming on the J7, you can play some pretty simple games like some light gaming, nothing too crazy, but you were getting, a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. The power button and volume rocker were on different sides. So you actually got the power button on the right side of the phone and the left side was the volume rockers. You also did get the back button, the home button on the bottom, which was cool, but it didn't offer the fingerprint sensor, which kind of sucked. I wish it did have a fingerprint sensor, but one of my favorite parts about this phone was the fact that it did have that physical home touch button down below, because it was really like cool to interact with, I guess. It's just a really nice feature to have, and the 5.5-inch display was actually perfect in the hand. It's actually a phone that I really still love to use, and to this day I never get sick or bored of it, because it's just that home touch button is really nice. It also has a nice battery size, which is going to last you more than a day, and it's like a really hard battery to kill, and it's optimized really well. But the only thing about this device is that it is running on an older software, so that's the only thing that kind of sucks about the J7 2018, is that it's going to be an older model, and the actual October 1st 2017 security patch on here, so this thing never got an update, and it's also on the Android 7.0, which is actually really old. But that kind of sucks. But this is one of my favorite phones. It also does have a one-handed operation mode, which is really cool. Device maintenance, which actually lets you customize the memory, storage, and battery. You get wallpapers, you get apps and themes, you get a Galaxy App Store as well. Now on the A30, which is one of my newest favorite phones from 2020, this phone is just really nice. I actually bought a Rinky case for it. It's one of my favorite cases of all time. Now this phone actually is really slim. It has a really nice design in the hand. It has a really nice build quality as well. Overall, you'd be really pleased with the overall performance. It does feature a processor that's a 7904 14 nanometer, so it's actually kind of crazy that you get a pretty good processing power for such a really affordable device. Now, the other thing that you want to know about this device is that it's going to be pretty snappy. You're going to get a lot of storage. It also features two different cameras, so you're getting a 16 megapixel and a 5 megapixel. The 5 megapixel is the ultra wide camera, and then on the 16 megapixel you're getting the wide angle. Now on the 16 megapixel front camera, it's actually 1080 30 frames per second, so all three cameras record in 30 frames 1080 frames per second, which isn't like the best thing in the world, but for the price you really couldn't complain, or pretty much anything like that. You're definitely getting some pretty good performance out of the A30 as well in 2020. So I gotta say, this is one of my favorite phones. Comes in a lot of different colors as well to choose from, but overall I gotta say that the J7 was probably one of my favorite phones from Samsung that they ever released. Probably the first phone that got me into Samsung was the Samsung Galaxy Mega, which was probably like one of my first phones ever, which also had that physical touch button at the bottom. And it had a huge 5.8-inch display, as well as another model that featured a 6.3-inch back in 2013 or /14. So, Samsung's always been making these really big devices, and, they both feature really good panels. Even though the J7 did have a 720 display, it still performed really well with the Exynos 7870 compared to the Exynos on the A30, which was a more recent model. So I definitely like the fact that it did offer a lot of performance in 2020 still for the J7. But if you definitely wanted to upgrade to a more modern design, you can go with the A30. But if you wanted that more vintage classic look, you can go with the J7 2018, which does offer SD card slot expansion, so you don't have to worry about running out of storage or anything like that. But overall, the J7 did feature a nice 13 megapixel camera with a 5 megapixel front camera as well, and it was a good device still. And I definitely like using it for Cricket Wireless, so I just use it from time to time. And it's definitely one of my favorite devices that Samsung did have to offer from Cricket Wireless. And it's only 2 years old, but I still think it's holding up pretty well. But have a great morning, afternoon, evening, and depending on where you are, have a great night. But it's your boy Serrano, and make sure you check out more videos just like this one, and make sure you hit the bell icon and show your support, appreciation as well. But I'll see you guys on the next video. But in the meantime, hit the bell icon so you can get notified for all videos just like this. Later, crew. Peace.